now take you to the broadcast of It's Time with Reverend Nathaniel W. Martin. Here is Reverend Martin.
Thank you, Dr. Blackwell. And let me say, Hotef, Baragani, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, but certainly never good night and never ever a goodbye, because I find goodbyes are traumatizing. I am the Reverend Nathaniel Wayne Martin. I'm the pastor of the New Life Institutional Baptist Church here in the city of Los Angeles, California. And we are located at 8916 South Main Street. And we are being hosted, thank you, Brother Blackwell, by our sister church, the Shiloh Missionary Christian Church, pastored by my good friend, the Reverend Dr. Della F. Hollandness. And you know, they say when the Baptists and the Charismatics get together, there's always going to be a shouting in the camp. And we want to ask your condolences for us, as we have lost one of our deacons. Deacon William Vernon passed away, and he will be funeralized August 1st here in Los Angeles. He was like a pillar of the church. And to know him was to love him, because he was not only faithful and loyal to his pastor, but he was dutiful and loved his God. And, you always got to have some members that will actually serve the church, serve the Lord, and he was one. So we ask your condolences for the family and for the church in the passing of Deacon William Vernon. All right. Sad note to say, but it's always happening. And keep us lifted up in your prayers. What the offering which you are viewing is entitled It's Time, and you may well ask, what is it time for? And it is always time for social justice, and it is always time to do that which is socially just. And we always zero in on the environmental justice component or factor, although there are many other factors that likewise need to be singled out, but we single that out because we as a people in this nation, and indeed around the world, have suffered environmental injustices. Indeed, a lot of our lands and our minerals and our resources have been stripped, ripped, robbed, and stolen away from our people all over the world. And of course, here in the settler colony of the United States of America, then our people were forced into slavery, chattel slavery. And so but my point is that the environmental component is one that must be addressed, because in the environment, not only the climate, but also the society or societal conditioning have greatly affected our people and indeed the entire human race. And so if we can achieve environmental justice in time, and remember, it's not merely the climate, but it's also the what's in the atmosphere, what pollutants are just clogging the atmosphere. What are you breathing in the air? What type of factories or manufacturing resources are around you? How do the people make their money? And we've always had a problem with manufacture, with the either putting the pollutants in the air or else dumping the pollutants into the rivers, the streams, and the waterways, and the brooks, and making them contaminated. And that is a big factor in our health, because you affect my health, then of course you limit my pursuit of happiness, because I've got to always be looking after my health component. A wise person said, when you got your health, you got everything. And surely in this nation, our health, our education, our welfare, our housing has always been suspect or in jeopardy. And the reason why things are as they are is because by design, the ruling powers, whether that was the slaveocracy or else the banking industry, which financed the slaveocracy, or the insurance industry, which in turn was financed by the banking or finance part of the society, has always held sway, because somebody has always had to finance or permit a condition to obtain, and or else if they did not allow that position or condition to obtain, then you were either being positively benefited or negatively impacted. And our people have not been privileged. We're not privileged now either, but of course we are less underprivileged in 2022, in a manner of speaking, than we were, say, in 1619, when the first 20 slaves came off of the slave ship. I believe it was the White Lion, down there near Jamestown, Virginia. And so the course of history is there for all of us to peruse and to study. I thank Professor Dr. Gerald Horn down there in Houston, even though he's from St. Louis, but he has done a yeoman's job of writing and researching. He's a great researcher, and the facts that he has unearthed and the little nuggets of truth that he has added to the historical picture of not only this nation but of the entire world, whether that was Haiti or Barbados or the continent of Africa, has been very, very helpful. I think all of us should read any of Dr. Horn's books. He's published, I think, over 40 books by now. When I first met him out here in California, I think he was 25 books. And he is a very rich resource, a historical resource. If you want to get into the history, get into the weeds, find out the why and the who and the what, then you can't make a mistake by studying the writings of Dr. Gerald Horn, who teaches there in Houston. I met him through Dr. Margaret Prescott of KPFK fame, and of course that was way before any COVID-19 or anything was on the horizon. I said all of that because we owe a great debt to the researchers who have gone back into the microfiche and have gone back into the depths of the newspaper files and dug back down and come up and researched and brought us the information that enables us to make an informed and accurate decision on our going forward because of what we have learned about our past. All right. On that question about research, Mrs. Terry Watts and Miss Debbie Watts, who are the descendants of the family of Mamie Till Mobley, who was the mother of Emmett Till, who was savagely butchered in 1955 in August down there in Money, Mississippi. And come to find out that there, even after all of the records that we thought had been discovered and recovered had been exposed, that they have found the original arrest warrant for Mrs. Carolyn Bryant, which arrest warrant the sheriff at the time decided not to serve because Mrs. Bryant was the mother of 2 little children, and he didn't want to take her away from her children. And upon such things, great events, such hinges, great events can occur. So they are attempting to get the current sheriff down there in Money or Greenwood, Mississippi, to serve this search warrant on Mrs. Carolyn Bryant. I think her last name now is Dunham. She's been, remarried. She was a beautiful girl, beautiful woman at the time in 55, but of course, time will come over all of it. Will have its way on all of us. But even now, in a rest home, the family feels that at least the search warrant should be executed, and even though she may not be held because of her great age, she should at least be arrested and held to answer for her role in the murder, because it was her perjurious testimony that got that boy killed. Because as she confessed to a writer, I won't call his name because I don't want to get in trouble, that she told a writer that that boy didn't do any of the things that she claimed he did. He didn't whistle, and he did not pursue her around the counter. He did not put his arm around her, and he didn't call her baby. All of the things that she said in court, out of the presence of the jury, but in the hearing of the judge and the prosecutors and the defendant, and I guess whatever people were in the audience. So, but he was dead by that time, and so because she had told those lies to her husband, and he had told those lies to his brother, and they had went out and kidnapped in the middle of the night, went out to Emmett Till's uncle's house and kidnapped him and tortured him and tortured him and tortured him until they killed him. And they put a weight, one of those gin fans around his body and tossed him in the Tallahatchie River. But what is done in the dark will always come to the light. But you know that story. So we need not keep dwelling on that because the writings are voluminous. I want to get to the events that are taking place here now as it affects us, especially the January 6th committee hearings. And as we go into that, let us look at our reparations scripture. I forgot to mention, I'm a believer in reparations, and even though it looked like it's looking dim for reparations now because of the fact that so many white people were the sires or the studs of the children of slave women. And remember, the status of the child was based upon the status of the mother, which was a concession to slaveocracy, because before you was reckoned by who your father was, all down through history until slavery. And when it became apparent that a lot of those children were being sired, I don't use the word father, but they were sired by their slave owners and people who knew better. Then, of course, when you start trying to trace lineage through the slavery, well, if I got a slave in my family, okay, but then the white people say, well, we got slaves in our family. We know because our great-great-great-great-grandfather was a slave owner, and he had children by, he sired. It's not even right to call them children, because they were viewed as a what? A commodity. And but my point is that when you start trying to write checks for slavery, you're going to have to give the white folks who have already been paid checks. And so I don't think that lineage is going to hold up. We're going to have to go by the after effects, which were equally as gross, and the segregationists, or the segregation that was practiced, the Jim Crow practices, the the race-based residential covenants that were required of people, and the prohibitions against our hiring, the hiring of Negroes or of colored people, as they were called back in the day. We are African Americans now. I understand that. But the injustices that we as a nation, as a people, suffered in this nation, from substandard schools to not being able to be educated, to being second-class educated, second-class citizen, all of those factors should figure in to a just compensation package for us. And I won't dwell on that because I want to get to the January 6th committee hearings. I said all of that because our marching orders, as they occur in the 6th chapter of Ephesians, picking up the reading at verse 11 and at verses 11 and 12, tell us that we are to put on the whole armor of God, that we may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Now, this principalities must not be limited to merely the earthly realm, but it must be also include the upper realm, because things seen were not made of things which do appear, of course. We are spiritual beings in a spiritual, in a physical body, yes, but we remain spiritual beings. Is that right? And that is why Paul tells us to put on the whole armor of God, that we may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. You may not see the devil, but the devil is always lurking and working to undermine you and the saints of God. I ran across an interesting scripture in the little book of Jude, which I will read right now very quickly. It's only one verse. And it says, it's the 9th verse of Jude. And what it says is, in the 9th verse, yet Michael, the archangel means the top angel, when contending with the devil, he disputed about the body of Moses, durst not bring a railing accusation, but said, the Lord rebuked thee. All right, and he was, we didn't know, at least I didn't know, that was a dispute between the angels of God and the devil about the body of Moses. We learned something. And so these principalities are not merely our organizations or corporations or companies or personalities or agents in the physical embodiment, but also in the larger unseen manifestation of spiritual wickedness in high places. We need to do a further study on this principalities, because you see it in the Romans 8, where Paul said, for I am persuaded neither death nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth, nor any other creature shall be able to separate us from the love of God. So Paul invokes this Latin word, principality, which means the prince, and the principis was what the prince was over and was in charge of. And Lord, please, HNICs, have mercy. But we don't want to get off our subject, because you can see where this is going. Any person with a little power, a little authority, you have to be on your P's and Q's until you feel that you can trust them, because people will get in authority and then flip on you. I mean, flip too. And they will let you down, and they will prove to you that they are not, have never been what they said that they were. And this January 6th committee is proving all of that, to the consternation of us that were so trusting. I just can't believe that Senator Susan Collins could have been so deceived by the princes, the principalities that came before her for confirmation to the Supreme Court, that she thought they was not going to overturn Roe v. Wade simply because they said they was not going to overturn Roe v. Wade. My God, you can't be that naive. Come on, Miss Susan Collins. I was going to read the scripture bearing on reparations, and I think I should, because even though we have a hard road to hoe, we need to continue on in this fight. Deuteronomy chapter 15, reading at verse number 12 and through verse 14, it says these words: And if thy brother, an Hebrew man or an Hebrew woman, be sold unto thee, and serve thee 6 years, then in the 7th year thou shalt let them go free from thee. And when thou sendest him or her out free from thee, thou shalt not let him or her go away empty. Thou shalt furnish him or her liberally out of thy flock, and out of thy floor, and out of thy winepress, of that wherewith the Lord thy God hath blessed thee, thou shalt give unto them. I say again, that God looks out for the less fortunate, and God had made a plan and a way that the less fortunate could be help. And if we had stuck with that, instead of descending into this darkness of chattel slavery that treated a human being as a mere commodity and not as a person, here's my 5 minutes, but as a commodity to be portable, you could move them portable and do with you because that was your property. The world wouldn't be in the shape that it is in if we had looked upon each other as children of God or as brothers and sisters. But of course, it's too late for that now because we have all of this history that we cannot undo. And all we can do is try to what? Make amends, make repairs, and treat each other equitably. As the people that were up on top of the Capitol building showed, they are not willing to treat all of us equitably, not just black folks. You got white folks that don't want to treat white folks equitably. They were chanting, "Hang Mike Pence." And the President of the United States was edging them on and saying Mike Pence deserved it because he didn't do what I want to do. And remember, all of this was based upon what? A big lie, a big myth. Just like white supremacy was a big myth or a big lie. This big steal that lured those people to Washington, D.C. to assault the Capitol and stop and change and try to overthrow the government of the United States. That was a coup d'etat, attempted coup d'etat. And why more people wasn't killed and shot and arrested and thrown in prison is a testimony to the privilege of whiteness in this colony. Because if that had been if Barack Obama had failed to concede and had done anything like what this Donald Trump is guilty of, why he would have been drawn out of there, and probably his own Secret Service men would have killed him. And because the Secret Service in Donald Trump's case have conveniently deleted the text messages from the 5th and the 6th so that they cannot see, so that the committee cannot see what they were actually thinking or what was actually transpiring, because there's always more action on the Secret Service than what you would normally see in here over the regular trafficking. All right, I have consumed my time, and I haven't really gotten to it. But remember, these foundations, these alliances, and these advocacy groups are just as venal and as guilty in this public steal as Donald Trump. No, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. And so the Heritage Foundation, off of whose list all of these conservative judges, including Clarence Thomas and Amy Coney Barrett and Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh, and I didn't get a chance to talk about this Brett Kavanaugh, how far back and how deeply involved he was in all of the previous affirmations or nominations to the Supreme Court. But I must close. But again, I say unto you, keep up the fight. Don't get tired. Don't get weary. Be like the Republicans or the conservatives. Keep planning and keep striving and keep your eye on the goal. And as I close, as I say, if you're working on a job, God bless you. Get all the money that you can get, because once you put your labor out there, you can't get it back. And if hard work was all it took to get rich, then every slave coming out of slavery would have been a millionaire. So if you work for somebody and they don't want to pay you, don't work for them. Thank you, Doc. We out of here.